Hey guys, Bubba here. This is part two of my recent trip to the meetup up in Yuma, Tennessee. And in this second part, it'll be the featured speakers. It was really getting to be too long to make one big video. So I just took some of the featured speakers and just put them in a separate video. And to kind of, that way you can just pick and choose what you want. Just look through it, scroll through it. If your favorite speakers in there, you can check it out. I got Dr. Barry and Kerry Mann and Adam Lacy, all the big influencer names and stuff. And yeah, hope you enjoy it.
Hey y'all, you in Tennessee now. Here in Tennessee, we tell it like it is, even if it takes the hide. Oh yeah. You ever heard that before? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tell you three things that you may not know, or you may not, because there's a difference between knowing and getting it. Two different things. Okay, all right. So, thing number one, and some of you need to pay very careful attention to this. The human body and the human brain, the default setting is good, vigorous, vibrant health. For all of y'all, good health is the default setting of the human body. The human body, my friend and I think agree, is wonderfully and amazingly made. Who in here thinks God is stupid? Your body was perfectly made, only to the degree that you ate junk. And you maybe didn't even know it was junk, but that's what mucked it up. That's what got you where you are now. It didn't start that way. It started perfectly healthy. And let's do four things, okay? I'm going to add a little extra thing here. Your brain, your mind, is part of your body. They're connected. So anybody suffering from a mental health issue, your brain's part of your body. It's not magically different. It's not off there in the corner somewhere. It's in your body. Your brain is a metabolic organ. So everything I'm saying applies to mental health as well as physical health. And I think this young lady that just spoke, wow, Kerry, dude. I know she's proud of you, and I know you're proud of her. Did you hear how she talked about her social health and her mental health? You've heard that, right? There was nothing wrong with her at all. She's perfect. But she thought, all these things are wrong with me. My stupid skin, I get nervous, I can't do anything. That was all the food. That was all the food. Your body, even you sitting out there going, no, Dr. Barry don't understand about my body. My body done betrayed me. My body hates me. No, your body has the ability to heal. When you remove the slow poison, which is the food that we're told is food, I have a little problem with experts' definition of food. Food should not make you fat. It should not make you sick. It should not make you inflamed. Food should nourish you in every way you can mean that word. It should nourish you. Body and soul, body and brain. Number one, your body's default setting is good health. Even you. But it takes some tissues longer to heal than others. If you cut your skin, it's healed in 2 weeks, right? If you get some viral infection and it messes up your guts, they're better in a week. The neurons in your brain take many months or even years to heal. Some things take longer than others. But if there's nothing you take away from today, it is that there is hope. You can heal. It may be slow, but what's the damn alternative? Yeah. Anybody ready to get in the box and lay down? Because if you're not in the box under the ground, you ain't done yet. And you can absolutely get better, get healthier, get stronger, get mentally healthier. All that can happen. You just got to keep going. You got to keep doing. And you got to keep reaching out and forming connections with your fellow humans. Humanity, Homo sapiens sapien, we are a social species. We're a tribal species. I can't get over her talk, Kerry. She had pulled away from all of it. She was not comfortable with any of it. Going to her school, you've been at school from kindergarten up, probably, right? 3rd grade up, and still it was freaking her out. That's not normal. That's the food. As soon as she started feeding her body real human food, proper human food, she became social. She's up here speaking in front of 200 people. What 17-year-old does that? How can you not be inspired by that? Fact number 2 that you may not know or you may not get. Doctors are just dudes and chicks. I want you to get that. That doctor in that white coat with the stethoscope, ubiquitous stethoscope, got to have a stethoscope so people know you're the doctor. Are just dudes and chicks. They're just people who had a dream. They went to med school. They are just like you. They put their pants on just like you. They scratch their butt just like you do. They're just dudes and chicks. They're nothing special. They're not demigods. They're not some different species. They're not some different class of human. They're just dudes and chicks. They've got many, many things wrong, many of which I've talked about on my channel. Lobotomies, electroconvulsive shock therapy, so many things in the mental health space. They've just got terribly, disastrously wrong. Back when the founding fathers of this country were alive, you know what the main medicines they treated people with? Yeah, they would make you bleed, either with a scalpel or a leech, arsenic, mercury, and cadmium. That was, their little black bag they used to have. That's what was in there. Four different poisons and something to stab you with to make you bleed. That was it. Now, do you think, let's go back in time to 1776. And there's a doctor with his little black bag going, and that's what happened with President Washington, right? They bled him to death. He had a sore throat, and they just kept bloodletting and exsanguinated President George Washington. That's what happened. Everybody had so much respect for that doctor. That doctor walked in, and the people just parted like the Red Sea. Let the doctor through. He's just a dude. He was doing what he was taught, but he killed the president. This is what you have to understand. When you go see your doctor, there are things they absolutely know. If you break a bone, go see your doctor. If you get a 3rd-degree burn, you probably should have went and saw your doctor. If you get a severe infection, go see your doctor. But if what you've got is a chronic disease and you haven't yet adopted a proper human diet, your doctor's not going to be able to help you, at least not many. Now, there's several doctors here today, and when I first spoke at an event like this years ago, I was the only doctor in the room. And now every time I go to one of these things, there's 3, 5, 10, 15, in some cases 30 doctors in the room, nurses, pharmacists, physical therapists, nutritionists, optometrists. They're all coming. They're all one by one. Once they, because when a doctor sees one patient that says, hey, I had this long list of medical conditions like Kerry, and I started eating nothing but meat, and it all went away. Doctor's like, damn, he's crazy. That's crazy. Crazy talk. But then that doctor, like I told you yesterday, then what happens when the second person comes and tells the same story? And then a month later, here comes 2 more telling the same story. At some point, any doctor with any damn sense at all, when you've seen enough people with the same thing, either keto or carnivore, all this stuff went away, you go home and you do what everybody else does. You get on the internet and you look it up. And you go, oh, I didn't realize that this was actually a thing. Oh, wait, there's research about this? I've never heard of this. Let me look into this. And then what happens next is, once that doctor sees it, once that doctor hears the bell ring, you can't ever unhear that. You can't ever unsee that. And then that doctor does something that y'all don't know about because they keep it to themselves. They try carnivore. And then that's it. For the rest of their career, every patient that they ever meet and interact with gets taught about a proper human diet. That's how it goes. Now, thing 3 that you probably know, but I want you to really get it. Drug companies are in business to make a profit. Now, you're like, well, yeah, duh. But here's the thing. If a drug company CEO says, we're really fleecing people, we really need to quit this. We really need to stop trying to just manage chronic disease. We need to start curing stuff. They would be fired immediately. Now, I'm not joking. And so he'd be like, we'll probably make less money, but we're going to start curing things. That's literally, in our current legal system, it's illegal. The shareholders could sue and win. There's multiple examples of this in the legal literature. It is their job to make money for the shareholders. A few years back, what has it been, 20 years now, they came up with Harvoni for hepatitis C. Would literally cure hepatitis C. And I don't know, maybe 1 million people have been cured of hepatitis C. The investment bankers went to the pharmaceutical company and said, look, huzzah, you cured people, that's great, good, go you, but that's a terrible business model. And if you continue down that course, we're probably not going to invest anymore. We want you to develop drugs that people have to take every day for life. Because you see how that's a good business model. Okay? So now, knowing those 3 things, you can put all 3 of those together. And you got the doctors in the middle who are just dudes and chicks. Just like you. They're stuck because they were educated by the drug companies. When I was a 3rd-year resident, a drug rep from the Rocephin was the drug. He gave me a $250 textbook. That was the last year they were able to actually give doctors gifts like that. And I was a 3rd-year resident. I wanted that book, and he's like, yeah, you can take this one. I'm like, because Kiltz, those textbooks were expensive, and you were broke as a joke in med school. He just gave it to me. Now, guess what? I was just a dude. Guess what my favorite antibiotic was for the next 10 years? You could come with a stick stuck in your leg and you got a shot of Rocephin. This is human nature. They know how to play the doctors. And then the doctors They got bills, they got loans, they got mortgages, they got car payments, they got a spouse that's just, it's just, their life is just like your life. It's no different. They got 7 minutes. They're going to get $35 for that. They got to see as many people a day as possible. They don't have time to talk about diet with you. You shouldn't be depending on your doctor to talk about your diet. If your doctor even mentions diet, most of the time they don't because they don't want to talk about it because that's a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation. If your doctor asks you about your diet, say, look, I'm eating a whole food, real, sugar-free, all-natural diet. That's what you're going to tell them from this day forward. That's true. It's exactly what you're eating. And you can even go into a little more detail. I'm eating ancestrally appropriate. I'm eating the stuff that humans have eaten for thousands of years. Because that's also true. But you don't necessarily have to say the C word. Because that's going to ruin your doctor's day. Because they're like, okay, here goes 20 minutes. While they try to convince you to eat a plant-based diet. Because they're just dudes and chicks. They don't know any better than you do. Okay? What I'm recommending on my YouTube videos and here to you today is not some weird radioactive chemical soup that's made in some kind of chemical factory. I'm just saying let's eat the food that humans have eaten for hundreds of thousands of years. That's as simple as it is. When you do that, acne goes away, don't it? Yeah? Depression goes away, don't it? How many people have reversed their type 2 diabetes? Yeah. How many in the process of reversing it right now? Because now you know. Right. All of it starts to go back to normal. What's normal? Healthy. That's normal. The longer you do it, the closer you get to healthy. The more healthy you get. Does that make sense? Now, I love what you said about community. It's very, very important because some of us have a supportive spouse and we have support family and friends are like, yeah, carnivore, let's do it. And some of us don't. And you may be one of those people who don't. And so we actually have a community with thousands of people from all over the world. We've got tribe members from 6 different continents in our Proper Human Diet community. We don't have anybody from Antarctica yet, but we're working on it. There's some research scientists down there. We're trying to get one. If you're in our private community, would you stand up? Who do we have here? Yeah. Hey guys. So if you need support, if you need that, if your spouse is like, that's stupid. If your mama or your daddy are like, nah, fine, we're here for you. We got you. But now, if you got good support, then you do you. Or if you're like me, if you're like a mountain lion, you're like, I don't need no damn support. That's fine too. You just do it. But if you need it, it's here. Okay? I don't know how long I've got, Kerry. I'd be happy if anybody's got any questions.
As long as you want.
If anybody's got any questions. I love answering questions because when I answer her question, I might answer a question you didn't even know you had. How I got started and why. So when I was growing up, I was very slender. I could not gain weight at all. I looked like a white Ethiopian, just a beanpole. And then about 35, I started to gain weight. And I was working in the emergency department. 12-hour shifts, and then I would often have clinic the next day. And so I lived in scrubs. And scrubs have a drawstring at the waist. Big, long drawstring. And so I'm 6'3", so I wore extra large, and I had to really cinch them in, boy, and have the string hanging halfway down my leg. And as the years went by, that string kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter, but I was wearing the same size damn pants. And I knew I'd gained a little weight, but I thought, well, I'm tall. I probably carry it very well. Until one day I got on the scale. I think my nurse, Wendy, said, you need to go weigh. Your ass is getting big. And so I did, and I weighed 297 pounds. I was like, dang, that's a lot. Almost 300 pounds. And so I said, we better do some lab work. And we did, and I was pre-diabetic. My A1C was 6.1. I was moving straight to type 2 diabetes. Terrible heartburn, like the doctor mentioned, just a whole list of aches and pains and yucky crap that just not worth talking about. And so I tried the American Diabetes Association diet. I had the PDF that I handed to all my patients. I'm like, well, I'm almost diabetic. I might as well do that. So I started doing the ADA diet, and I started jogging 3 days a week. And I'd rather be poked in the eye with a stick than jog. Hate it. Hate to jog. But I did it 3 days a week, and I followed the ADA diet. And at the end of that 3 months, I rechecked. I was a little bit more pre-diabetic, and I gained 3, 4, 5 pounds. And that was the epiphany. That was like, okay, you know what? I don't know a damn thing about nutrition, and neither do they. Because very often, your doctor, when you say, oh, doctor, I'm trying to follow this plant-based diet, but my acne just won't get better, the doctor does not believe you. They're like, yeah, she's eating bacon and whatever. She's not doing what she says. But I live with me. I was there every day. I was the one drinking those fruit juice smoothies and eating that whole grain bread and not eating the bacon and draining the fat. I got a George Foreman grill so to drain the fat off. That's how stupid I was. I thought, that's it. Oh, drain the fat. Yeah. And so then I read 3 books, Dr. Atkins' Diet Revolution, the Paleo Diet by Lauren Cordain, and the Primal Blueprint by Mark Sisson. And those 3 books were exactly backwards to everything I was taught. But I had just done a 3-month experiment of everything that I thought I knew and had gotten fatter and sicker. So what would a common sense Tennessee boy do? He would go, I think I'm going to do the opposite of the thing that didn't work. Because that's how we think down here. That didn't work, so I'm going to do the opposite of that. So I started eating lots of meat. And I got rid of the bread, got rid of the sugar, and got rid of the grains and the beans and the vegetable seed oils. And after 3 months of that, I was down 30 or 40 pounds, and my A1C had come down. My heartburn was better at keto, right? Keto's where I started, and everything was better. And I'm like, dang. And so that's where I started from, and that's why I started this, because here in Tennessee, like I was telling my new friends in the back, you would not take your car to a mechanic whose car would not start. We have common sense down here, because if you don't have common sense, you will get hit by a car. In the city, the cars stop for the people. Here in the South, in the country, the people stop for the car because the damn car's bigger. It will win. So you don't just walk out like you own no. See, common sense. You wouldn't go to a hairdresser to get a haircut whose hair was janky. You're like, no, I don't think so. So I was a fat pre-diabetic doctor going in and saying, you need to lose a few pounds. How do you think that went here in Tennessee? I got immediate feedback. People be like, look at this button here, because it was ready to pop at any time. They'd be like, okay, doc, I'll get right on that. I couldn't have that. I had to be consistent with what I was saying. That was completely inconsistent. That's where I came from. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
How do you cut through all the kind of information? Calories count, no, they don't count. Eat more fat, eat less fat. How do you? There's so many online gurus that tell opposite stories.
Sure. Yeah.
And I know that people are trying to.
Yep.
So how do you find out really what is?
So before I was a doctor, I was an animal biologist. I got a degree in animal biology, undergrad. And so I looked at the animal biology. And the first clue is, in the wild, when an animal is eating its species appropriate diet, There is no such thing as obesity. It doesn't exist. There's no chronic diseases. There's no chronic stuff. You live 100% healthy up to the day you get eaten. That's how it is. That's how it is with wild animals. But when we take these same animals and we put them in captivity and we feed them kibble, they get fat, they get diabetic, they get cataracts, they get kidney failure, they get literally everything that we get. Cancer, yeah. Right. So that was the first clue. And then something, I can't remember. Oh, it was Dr. Michael Eads had a video. He was talking about the Egyptians. They were known to other cultures that they literally called them bread eaters. That was whatever the tongue was, that's what they called them. Because the Egyptians ate the exact diet that the American Heart Association tells you to eat today. It's the exact diet. There was no red meat. They used the cows to pull stuff. They didn't eat them. They had fruits and vegetables, tons of grain. They were literally called the bread eaters by other countries. They all had man boobs and pot bellies. And so in Egypt, it's very dry, very arid, and very hot. And so you kind of naturally mummify anyway. But then they additionally, unless you were a prisoner or a pauper, you got at least some degree of mummification. So we've got tens of thousands of these Egyptian bodies that are mummified. And you can CAT scan them. And you can do an MRI on them. And they've got horrendous heart disease, horrendous arthritis, terrible cavities in their teeth. They're shorter. They had less muscle. You can tell that by the muscle attachment on the bone. They were just fat, miserable, slobby people. This is well known in archaeology and anthropology. So then I kept digging into the paleoanthropology, and I found out that there's this test called a stable isotope analysis that you can tell what somebody ate by the strontium and other elements in their bones. They could have lived 100,000 years ago, and you can tell, did they eat C3 plants or C4 plants? So that'd be the difference between wheat or sorghum, corn versus other. You can tell that. You can tell whether they ate mostly seafood or mostly animals running on land. And what they found is that more than 15,000 years ago, if you watch a lot of my videos, you know that time period keeps coming up. And that's because that's well before the agricultural revolution. And I call it the agricultural de-evolution or the agricultural disaster, because that's when our food changed. And that's when we started being shorter and sicker and fatter and had our teeth falling out, living short, miserable lives and dying prematurely because of all the grains. But when you go back more than 15,000 years, guess what? There's not a single cavity in the fossils. They're 3 inches taller 15,000 years ago than they were 10,000 years ago. The agricultural de-evolution. Okay? We know what they ate back then. It was mostly meat. It was all meat if they could find it. If there wasn't meat, of course they would eat whatever up to and including the grass. But if there was meat, they always ate the meat. They ate the meat first. They ate every single part of the animal. There are archaeological digs where there are mounds of bones or mounds of shells so tall that the researchers initially thought this must be some kind of religious monument or something. No, it was just they were eating so many damn animals they had to pile the bones up somewhere, and so they had a bone pile. That's where they put them. True story. For years they thought, oh, it must be a religious observance or something. We don't know what these huge piles of bones are. That was their junk pile after they'd eaten them all. Meat is your ancestral food. It doesn't matter your color. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter what country. Even if you're from Puerto Rico. Doctor, if you go back in time, I don't care if you're Buddhist, I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Christian, if you go back in time enough generations, If you're from China, it doesn't matter. If you're from Australia, it doesn't matter. If you go back enough generations, guess what your people ate? They were carnivores. They were what anthropologists call super carnivores, meaning at least 70% of their food intake was from animals. If you lived by a river, it was fish. If you lived on the savannah, it was meat that you had to chase down. That is your ancestral food, no matter where you're from, no matter what your heritage is. There is no exception to that if you are, in fact, Homo sapiens sapien, which you, in fact, are. Does that help? Now, so when I took all that and put all that together, I'm like, so a question would be, well, are we still Homo sapiens sapien? Yeah. Just like we were 100,000 years ago? Yeah, no doubt. Inarguable, because you can still pull DNA from the teeth and from deep in the bones from 100,000 years ago. We got the same DNA. We're the same animal. Okay? We've got the Egyptian example. They're literally eating the diet the American Heart Association tells you to eat. And they were pitifully unhealthy. So that obviously is not the answer, right? So when you're trying to feed an artificial diet to a species, in this case humans, and it's not their ancestrally appropriate diet, you wind up getting caught in little bullshit whirlpools like counting calories. You wind up getting caught in little weird things like that just really, in the big picture, when you want anybody, how many in here have been like, I used to count calories religiously. Now I literally laugh at people who count calories. It's just like it's like believing in Santa Claus. It's just like believing in Santa Claus. It's like you can never truly know how many calories are in this avocado. You can only estimate it plus or minus 20%. You can never know how many calories you need for your daily need. You literally cannot calculate that unless you go live in a metabolic lab for the rest of your life. That's the only way you can know, because if your body temp goes up half a degree, that increases your calorie needs. Calories are not how any food is measured. And remember back to the animal biology part. How many animals in the wild have got their little Weight Watchers book and they pull it out and look at it? Now this is clover, so how many calories? None. But yet there is zero obesity in wild animals. And you may not know this, but we are in the wild. We are wild animals. And Dr. Kiltz is right. We have domesticated our own self. But we're still, this is our new wild. Welcome. That doesn't mean that you have to eat the kibble. Right? You can be smart enough to not eat the kibble because you're still a wild animal. When we're truly domesticated, then you will eat the bugs and you will eat the kibble and you won't have any choice. And I hope there's enough liberty-minded people in this room that we never, ever allow that kind of thing to happen. More? Okay, any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Dudes and chicks.
You don't know, sadly, half of what I've learned just from watching you or whatever.
Right.
Where do we find, I've got your book, the lab results and things. Where do we find quality advice about how to tweak and do things for ourselves as we're in our
Yep. So there is a website, the Society for Metabolic Health Practitioners, and they have a database of doctors all around the world, all around the country, who understand a low-carb, keto, carnivore diet. It's worth a 2-hour drive to see one of those folks if you need a doctor. Now, as years go by, am increasingly coming to the conclusion that, maybe we don't need a doctor every 10 damn minutes for every little thing. Maybe we can just take care of our own stuff most of the time. Like I said earlier, if you've got a bone sticking out, go see your doctor. If you got a third-degree burn, go see a doctor. If you're on death's door, go see a doctor. Modern medicine is great in certain situations, but if it's a chronic condition, I can promise you that their answer is going to be to whip out the prescription pad and put you on a chemical toxic soup from a pharmaceutical factory, probably made in China, and that's their solution for you. That's it. That's the best they got. So, do you need a doctor? Or can you just go to your regular doctor here in Huntington up the road and just hope that they don't mention diet, and you can use them to order tests, and you've got the Common Sense Labs book, so you can say, look, I need you to order my fasting insulin. And if the doctor refuses, says, I don't even know what that is, what would I do with that? I don't even know what that is. That's when you say, okay, dude, we need to talk. Just because you don't know what something is doesn't mean it's not important. Let me turn to page 14 here in Common Sense Labs, and I'll read to you why Dr. Berry says you need to order my insulin. Doctors don't like when you do that. It hurts their pride. Okay? You only have to do that once. And then from then on, they'll usually say, whatever you want, write it down, I'll order it. Because remember, they're pushed for time. They don't have time to argue with you. And just say, well, I'll tell you what, put in my medical record that I asked for this test and that you refused to order it. And I'm afraid I've got a family history, and I'm afraid that I have a health problem, and I need this test, and you refuse to order that. Would you please write that down in my permanent medical record and give me a copy of that on my way out? You say that one time, you either get kicked out, but if you don't get kicked out, then whatever you want to order in the future, you just write it down and we'll order it. And then that fixes that. Now you've got somebody who will order your labs that you need. If you need a refill of something, they'll refill it for you. If you need a test run, they'll order the test. What else do you need them for? Think about it. Golf. You can play golf with them. Yes. Exactly. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
What do you think about the new NAD rush that's out in the world right now?
NAD plus, the supplement? Yeah. Yes, and there's so many rages out there right now. This supplement, that supplement, oh my God, NAD, NADH. I could just go on and on and on. Did we have any of that 50,000 years ago? Were we all healthy without exception? Did we all live 100% full bore until the day we got eaten? Yeah. Now, if you're eating a high-carb, junk diet full of grains and sugar and vegetable seed oils, some of these supplements might help you. But if you start with the food first and get the food right, get it proper, and keep it proper, 99% of the supplements become just like 99% of the prescription medications. They become worthless, useless background noise. And you start to chuckle when you see the supplement ads. Oh, this berry that was grown in the butt crack of a monk on the Himalayan mountains. Oh, you're like, what is wrong with people? That's dumb. Right? Does that make sense? 99% of that stuff is complete bunk. Just like 99% of the drugstore drugs are bunk. You don't need them if your diet is proper and you're living a proper human life. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
How about carnivore and pregnancy and babies?
Carnivore, pregnancy, breastfeeding, and what about little toddlers? They can eat a carnivore diet. Let's all get in my time machine and let's go back in time 50,000 years. We got us a little pregnant woman here. She's 17 years old and pregnant. Watch it. And her spouse, I don't know if they had weddings back then, but their little person, her little guy, she's like, I'm hungry. And he's like, okay, I'm going to run to Kroger and I'm going to get you some of those little crackers that you like. No. She ate meat. She ate meat every day. She ate as much meat as she could get her hand on. She ate the organs. She ate the fat around the kidneys. She ate the fat behind the eyes. She ate all the connective tissue. You know that gristle in your steak that you push to the side of the plate and say, ew. She ate that too. She ate it all. Now, she has the baby, and now she's breastfeeding because that was what babies ate back then. That was all they ate. There was no other option, thank God, or we'd probably be extinct as a species. Also, remember that all breast milk is raw milk. Right? What did she eat? Did her husband run up to Sonic and get her some French fries? No, she ate the meat. She ate as much meat as she could get her hands on as often as she could. And she made miraculous breast milk for her miraculous baby with that. Now, the little baby is growing up, about 8 months, got 4 little teeth, starting to reach and grab stuff and put it in its mouth. And she runs to Winn-Dixie and gets him some of those little crackers and gets him some Cheerios. No. The first solid food that went in that baby's mouth, there is no anthropologist that will argue with this, was meat. The first bite of solid food that went into the 6, 7, 8 month old's mouth was meat. If you lived by a river, it was fish. That was what they ate. There was no different diet for pregnant women or different diet for breastfeeding women or different diet for little babies. We all are carnivores. We are super carnivores by definition. The textbooks are very clear about this. At any age, from 6 months when you're old enough for solid food up to 106, you are a carnivore. If you want some plants, that's fine. You can eat them if you can tolerate them, if they don't cause inflammation. But if you can't tolerate them, you can eat nothing but beef, butter, bacon, and eggs and live a long, healthy, vigorous, vibrant, dangerous life. Let's stop right there. What do you say?
We give another big round of applause for Dr. Berry. Dr. Berry has been incredibly generous with his time. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Dr. Berry. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break here now, and then we'll resume things after that. So if anyone needs to use the restroom, thankfully depressed. Take a step back here. This is me with my wife at age 14. We just celebrated 30 years together. I'm going to get a little graphic on this next part, but I think it's important to sort of share the truth in the story. 1 year after this picture was taken was when I started having health issues. And I was in the bathroom, and I went to stand up, and I turned around to check my work. People are laughing here. Every one of you know you check your work in the bathroom. And the toilet was full of blood. And my mom rushed me to the hospital, and they diagnosed me with Crohn's disease. And a couple of years later, they told me, no, you actually didn't have Crohn's disease. Well, they put me on a bunch of medication, and I think it wrecked my stomach. What I actually had was called pilonidal cyst and a fistula, which is like a tunnel going from the inside to the outside, and it would bleed, and it was horribly painful. And I suffered with that for many years, all throughout high school. This was the happiest moment of my life. This was about 14 years after that picture was taken. My wife and I had triplets plus one, and 2 of my girls are here tonight, Emma and Alyssa. My whole family is eating a proper human diet now, which I'm so thankful for. This was a moment in my life where I needed to be a good dad, a strong dad. As I've heard Dr. Berry say, I needed to be a dangerous individual, and I could barely get up off the couch. I was depressed, I was hopeless, and my health issues started to decline from this point forward. I had horrible depression, sleep apnea. I used a CPAP machine for years, brain fog, fatigue, man boobs. Adam always laughs at that one. Horrible IBS. I was class 2 obese. My BMI was 37. I had gout and arthritis in my foot. I could barely put my foot down. I was using mobility scooters when I go to the grocery store because it hurt so bad. But wait, there's more. I got squamous cell cancer on my ear that I had to have surgery for. I was diagnosed with Barrett's esophagus. And the worst issue for me, I was sitting at home depressed on the couch. I went to stand up. I got dizzy. My lips started drooping, which it still does. Some of you might have noticed that. I couldn't find my words. My fingers were tingling. My wife called 911. And I spent about 4 days in the hospital in the stroke unit. I suffered a TIA mini stroke. I've had heart issues my entire life. Because of the mini stroke, they did a lot more tests, but I've had an irregular heartbeat since birth. And I've had dozens of different heart tests. In 2022, I had a heart test because they're like, what is wrong with this dude? He's got so many health issues. He's just had a mini stroke. I had 124 beats per minute tachycardia. 48% of my beats were premature. My ejection fraction was 44. I had a small hole in my heart, cardiomyopathy, and they diagnosed me with congestive heart failure. Throughout all of this time, as the girls were getting older and older, I had multiple kidney stones. My appendix burst on the operating room table, nearly killed me. They took my gallbladder out because they're like, maybe that'll help. I'm like, what the hell, take it out. Nothing else is working. And the pilonidal cysts that I mentioned earlier, I suffered from for years. And I don't want to gross people out, but just to make a point about suffering and the trauma my body's been through, I had to have 3 surgeries over the years for that. And it's basically like a cyst on the top of your butt crack. And they open it and they leave it open to heal. And it can take 4 to 6 weeks to heal. And when you go in, they do this thing called silver nitrate treatment, which is basically like a match head into an open wound with no anesthesia or whatever. It's like so barbaric. I can't believe it's even something that's done. And they did it to me over and over and over again. I say all of this not so you all feel sorry for me, but of all of those health issues, you would think that would be the worst one. The worst one for me was the depression and anxiety by far. All of those other things paled in comparison. I was hopelessly and suicidally depressed. I was on every antidepressant medication for about 15 years. Endless suffering and hopelessness. And I believe that's what hell is like when you have no hope. And then one day I heard a story. And it was a story from a man named Dante Ferrigno. And this was no joke. This was the first thing I think that gave me hope in maybe 15 years. Dante was telling my story. He was using my words. He was experiencing the same things that I was experiencing. And I just looked at him, and it wasn't like, oh, this is great. He lost some weight on a diet. He completely transformed his body, and you could just see the joy in his face. He became a new person. He overcame IBS and all of these other issues that I had. And I still thought Dante was crazy, and then I watched every one of Dr. Ken Berry's videos, probably like 1,000 of them. 5 words changed my life. That was Dr. Berry saved my life. It was on a type 2 diabetes video. It was in a comment. I thought Dr. Berry was a scam artist. I read a comment. I'm like, this is crazy. How can this guy save someone's life on the other side of the world? 2,000 comments on that video. How to reverse type 2 diabetes. And multiple comments of people saying that their life was saved from Dr. Berry. They reversed their A1C. They were no longer type 2 diabetic. It was just incredible to me. And I'm like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to start. And everything you see on here has reversed. Sleep apnea went away. I don't need a CPAP machine. Fatigue's gone. Man boobs are pretty much gone. IBS, gout went away. The gout was horribly painful. All that medication, I was on all that medication is completely gone. The heart was the biggest thing. When they told me I had congestive heart failure, they said, this is it forever. It's never going to go away. If you eat better, maybe it'll stay the same, but it's probably just going to get worse. I went in after 1 year on carnivore to get my heart tested. And my ejection fraction went from a 44 congestive heart failure to a 60, which, by the way, is really good. I'm an idiot, and I'm like, oh, I wanted to get 100%. They're like, no, you'd probably die if you had 100% on that. But 60, as you can see right there, is perfectly normal. The thing that was crazy, these are all my actual doctor notes, regular rhythm. Reversing my congestive heart failure was crazy, which it says there on the bottom. Your heart looks good. BNP is normal. There's no evidence of cardiomyopathy. That blew my mind. I knew it, though. I knew it going in. This was the only doctor's appointment I ever went to. I didn't have to go to. I had nothing wrong with me. I'm just like, I could run a marathon right now. I feel so good. I think I reversed my congestive heart failure. I want to check it out. But that part in the middle, regular rhythm, that blew my mind because I have had a lifelong irregular heartbeat. This is just some tests over the last 7 years leading up to carnivore. I had a transesophageal echocardiogram where they stick a camera down your throat. I had a cardiac catheter that went up that way. Multiple tests since childhood, even in kindergarten, always had an irregular heartbeat. Perfectly normal on carnivore for the first time in 43 years. Just blows my mind. So carnivore's completely saved my life, changed my life. I'm a big boy, I'm ready to move on, but what's most incredible is my family, my girls. I'm so proud of my girls. My daughter Alyssa's sitting over there. She's down like 40 pounds on carnivore. She's a completely new person, full of energy, incredible. My wife's doing carnivore. My older sister's doing carnivore. My younger sister's doing carnivore. My stepmom has been carnivore for 2 years. My stepdad's carnivore. My daughter Emma, she's going to be speaking next. She's going to bravely share her story. 17-year-old Emma, the carnivore. I'm so thankful. To end this, I just want to say how important these stories are. I really don't think any of us would be sitting here right now if Dante didn't share his story. We captured Dante's story for our documentary, Healing Humanity, and we captured all of these other 45 stories. Maybe none of these we would have even captured if not for Dante sharing his story. So the point of this is to get your story out there to the world. It could save one person's life. It could have a ripple effect that saves many people's lives. Bill Knott, for example, would we even know Bill Knott had Dante not originally told his story? So that's what I wanted to end with is please share your story. There's tons of people here that have great YouTube channels. I probably shouldn't say this, but people that have approached me and said they want to share their story on my channel, I have never once said no. It's 100% success rate. If you want to share your story, I'll do it at 2 in the morning, wherever it is, because it has the power to save somebody's life. So that's my story, and now we're going to give a little round of applause to my daughter Emma, who's 17 years old. 17-year-olds, most 17-year-olds would be kind of nervous to get up on stage in front of everyone and speak, right, Emma? Not Emma, she's a carnivore. Carnivores don't get nervous.
ADHD, OCD, depression, dyslexia, migraines, kidney stones, kicked out of school and again couldn't read. Thank you for the LAPD for straightening me out. And these are true stories, by the way. And I had severe migraines as a child, severe bowel problems as a child. And what was my diet? Fruit, fiber, vegetables, seeds, nuts, lean meat, and a lot of pasta and pizza and bread. But ultimately, we're all different, correct? Look under a microscope, our cells look the same. When I operate on people, it looks the same inside. But what do I see inside? A lot of damage to our organ systems. Our organ systems are damaged by meat, animals, or plants. Heroin, cocaine, marijuana, nicotine, caffeine, cyanide come from plants. What toxic chemical comes from meat? Zero. You become a lion. What do domesticated animals eat? Name a domesticated animal. Cows, right? Sheep, goats, okay, pigs, but a lot of it is fed plants. And is a dog and cat evolved from a lion and a wolf? And what happens if you feed a lion and a wolf plants? They become dogs and cats, domesticated animals, right? And so ultimately, what are we fed? And we're domesticated. And we listen to whatever they say. And ultimately, the pharaohs, the kings, the queens, the priests, the presidents, the professors, and the physicians are the rank. And we're the file. And we listen to whatever the kings and queens tell us. And the pharaohs fed us beer and bread, and we became highly addicted to it. Is it easy to give up beer and bread? No. And so, what's our biggest addiction here? Life and healing. Because healing humanity is the most powerful thing that we're here to do. And we do it in a congregation to listen to the philosophy of the Master God, teach us ideas that really, as a community, we all want to heal and be happy and joyous. But we've been basically given information from the great priest, president, pharaohs, kings, and queens that kept us out of the hunting grounds. But we're done with that, right? And we have to take control, and the doctors are misled. We went into medicine to help people heal, but we didn't know that it was really just untrue, right? And so healing humanity is through watching Dr. Ken Berry, watching Lisa, and everyone here. How many people here have a YouTube channel, an Instagram channel, a Facebook channel? How many people here share your stories online that we've learned from Dr. Berry and Lisa and others, right? We're learning each other together, and Dante. And again, if I don't mention your name, it's because I only got 50 seconds left. But we're here, and I invest in life. And what I've seen in helping people heal is this is the best venue. And so encourage other people to watch, to learn, share your story out there, because we're only going to do it by being the ministers of our brothers and sisters, not telling them don't do that, but being the example that they will learn to live and lead a different life and be healthy. And wealth is not money in the bank. It's the mindset and the beauty we give to each and every brother and sisters. God bless and thank you to everyone.
Shout out Coach Lisa. She's absolutely incredible. She's been helping coach my wife. She's got an incredible story of her own. The stage is yours.
Wow, how do you even come up after that? I'm one of your thousands. Thank you, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Kiltz. Adam actually was my connection. If you haven't watched my testimony, you can see it on the Healing Humanity channel. Anyways, we have so many rabbit holes that we go down. Today, I was just kind of reaching out to a few people asking, what is it that you want to hear? I have a testimony, but literally, I would love to share all of that. But we are all kind of a walking book where we have chapters of our life. So mine's 6 chapters long, probably over 1,000 to 2,000 pages per chapter. I will tell you that I get emotional talking about it, but at the same time, I'm so thankful I'm saved by grace, and most importantly, I'm saved by people like yourselves who inspire me to help you get your life back. And after going through 2 very traumatic times in my life, which there are more, but 2 that mark it, one was the death of a husband to cancer, and the other was the day before I was getting married. My husband was diagnosed with liver cirrhosis, and I was like, there's no way, God. There's no way I'm strong enough to do this again. There's no way. There's just no way. Literally was dropping to my hands and just saying, how do we do this? How do we make it through again? And I actually said to him, who's sitting right here, alive and well, I said, let's just not get married and let's focus on the liver, right? Because this is obviously, in his case, the biggest damage that we needed to deal with. While I was looking at his, I kind of took a reflection in the mirror of my own, took some assessments, and started digging into the Liver Association, getting as much help as possible. After coming out of school as a nutritionalist, standard American diet, the first thing that said is get him on fruits and vegetables. And, that's the diet he was on. And whether you want to call it a lifestyle or a diet, which he doesn't call it a diet, he's a very fit man, LAPD, SWAT, he ate chicken and turkey, the lean stuff, low fat, we're both into bodybuilding and working out, but life took a huge drastic change. So to sum this up in a 5-minute time, to follow up everything that Kerry and Adam and Ashley even had an appointment at one time with me, and then following Mr. Berry and Mr. Kiltz, there's a huge story here, you guys, and that story is that don't give up. This is about hope. It's about reversing your illnesses. And I will tell you that when you go down the rabbit hole of the liver, you will start to see the connection between autoimmune disease, type 2 diabetes, every single thing, including Alzheimer's, dementia. It's all there. It was shocking to me. I literally wanted to repent for all the people I'd taken down the standard American diet, high carb, low fat, chicken, turkey, stay away from any kind of red meat, you're going to die. So here I'm here to eat my words. To be honest with you, I literally repent for all that.
so we have to be our own inspectors, our own advocators. You got to dig deep inside of yourself and ask, it's not, is this the right diet for me, but is the information I've been given right? And when you start to decipher and tear apart the lies that you learn, and I wrote a program in my coaching program that's called Untie the Lies. Mental illness is not only fed by all the foods that you consume, but it's all the chemicals in this world. Mental illness, in my opinion, and my discovery of it through doctors like Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Berry and Dr. Sean Baker, this is not something we're born with. This is something that developed over time and years. Toxins, your job of that liver is to detoxify your body. So ironically, I ended up into the menopause kind of section of the liver and realized that, 40 years is a really short time of 100, but it's a long time to detoxify your liver. There has been so much junk, literally from birth and before in the womb, going into your liver that now has hit like the bump in the road. It's your engine, it's your car, it's breaking down. You're on the side of the road. You don't know where to go. You don't know who to believe. And like most of us that are here today, we discovered we cannot trust the standard American diet, the FDA, the big pharma, and sadly our doctors, who we put all of our faith into. I have clients that have had the same doctor 38 years, and like, my doctor wouldn't lie to me. And it's like, holy crap, my doctor's been lying to me. And they have, for myself, it was a long road to get here, but I'm here. And my husband's here, thank God, 4 years later after healing the liver. I'm just telling you, do not give up. There's so much hope in healing that when I spoke with Adam, wherever he went, and he was like, healing humanity, my passion that a lot of people think is aggressiveness, it's not, it is passion. I started taking an assessment on my own life, my children's lives, my grandchildren's life. I have 19 grandchildren, and I started looking at things that started shifting over 40 years. And I can tell you what, when I talked to Kerry for the first time, I was like, man, we have hearts that are sewn from the same quilt. Like, his passion is amazing, everything that he's doing here. And I knew that God had called me to be a part of this, and Dante, and just stepping up. And we are not little men, women. We are women. Men are men. We can all carnivore, but we might have to carnivore a little bit differently. There's so many systems out there that you can get involved with to find your path. But whatever you do, don't give up, because you're the next wild story that Kerry wants to hear. And on that note, before I go to tears, I'm going to tell you all thank you so much for being here. We flew in from Phoenix, or technically Prescott. This is my home state, and it's an honor to be able to be here and talk with each and every one of you. And I am available for a Q&A afterwards if anybody has any questions. 5 minutes.
There's a Dollar General. Where did you guys find this place? So that's on Ashley. So as Kerry mentioned, I have a YouTube channel, Carnivore Today. My life prior to that, I had lots of issues. I had an autoimmune condition called vitiligo that had plagued me for years and years and years. I couldn't find a solution to that. So I basically just said, that this is the way things are going to be. It's just going to get worse over the years. It's never going to get better. And then I had a turn of events. I had an accident in 2017 that sadly, the first person in line there in that accident, it was actually a fatal crash. So I was actually the third one in line. It cost $15,000 of damage to my truck. My truck actually went up that concrete divider and came back down. I didn't know that because I hit my head. I received a traumatic brain injury from this accident. And I went through 2 years of therapy after this. Had all kinds of complications, dizziness. I had vertigo effects. If I walked down long corridors, the room would start spinning. I would basically fall over. I would have issues at night where I'd have to have the lights on. Otherwise, I would go into this vertigo effect and get sick, throw up, vomit, things like that. So things weren't good. This persisted for years and years afterwards. So I went through 2 years of physical therapy, 2 years of speech therapy, 2 years of occupational therapy, and thankfully my wife is an occupational therapist, so my therapy continued after that. And the doctors initially said I'd lost 10% of my brain function because of this traumatic brain injury. And that was depressive. It caused a lot of anxiety issues and things like that. And essentially, the doctor said this was permanent. It may get better, but I wasn't really getting any real answers and things like that. So 2021, I went raw vegan, right? Because when you have a brain injury, that's what you do. So it was actually a business partner of mine. He contracted cancer, and he thought, hey, I'm going to go raw vegan. A friend of mine went on this protocol, and he doesn't have prostate cancer anymore 17 years later, so that's what he thought to do. And out of solidarity in solidarity with him, I decided I'm going to go on this diet with you, even though I can't stand vegetables. I hate them. So he's doing this raw vegan diet, and it's the grossest thing ever. But his cancer went away. So it's come back. I'm trying to be, I don't know how much time we got. Okay, yeah. I'll try to speed it up. So anyways, during this 2 years eating a vegan diet, the vitiligo was actually getting worse. And it was showing up on my arms, and for purely vain reasons, I started to research solutions to figure out how can I fix this problem, because the doctors say there's expensive treatments and things like that you can go through that I didn't have the money for. And I found a video by Joe Rogan. He has the same condition. He started to reverse that and talked about a carnivore diet. I thought, what in the hell is a carnivore diet, right? This is crazy. So I searched YouTube, found Dante Ferrigno, and immediately after finding Dante's story and being inspired by that, I found Dr. Berry's video. And this guy confirmed everything for me. Basically, he validated this way of eating, and 2 years after that, actually 5 months into the carnivore diet, my vitiligo actually started to reverse. But along with that, I lost 80 pounds that had plagued me for years and years. Plantar fasciitis that was incredibly painful went away. Depression and anxiety completely gone. Osteoarthritis is gone. And my traumatic brain injury is 100% healed. Now, right. Kerry will say otherwise. Right. Absolutely. So, I give this all the credit to eating this way, eating a proper human diet, and for the inspiration from Dante, Dr. Berry, Dr. Kiltz, Dr. Nelson, all the good doctors out there, and inspiration from all of you as well. So I really appreciate each and every one of you here. And I would just want to leave you with this. Stay the course, trust your body, and you can live the impossible. So I was told that this was a permanent condition for me, and literally just eating ribeyes, eating beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, my brain is 100% healed now. I'm able to join in this project with Healing Humanity, and I can't thank Kerry enough, and thank everyone else. So thank you, appreciate it.
Trying to stay here. I move a lot. I talk with my hands. I was born and raised in Puerto Rico. If you've ever talked to a Puerto Rican, their hands are all over the place. But I come from Florida. I've been in Florida 29 years. And I flew in last night, landed in Nashville, ended up at the hotel past midnight probably. I was glad to see there's inside plumbing in Tennessee. I'm a little bit familiar with Tennessee because two of my sons went to university in Chattanooga, so I had been here before. And about the inside plumbing, when I grew up, my grandmother didn't have inside plumbing. It was outside where we had to go, so I had to learn how to work that. So my name is Nelson Vasquez. I'm probably the least well-known carnivore out there. We have some big shots here today. Dr. Berry is approaching 4 million sometime, not too long from now. I don't have 10% of that. I don't have 1% of that. I don't have 0.0. I have 0.01% of that. But let's see what we have here. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm so close it scares me. That's actually me wearing a shirt. I just took a picture, cropped it. But I do know I'm not perfect for another reason. My wife has been telling me for 40 years. So she reminds me every now and then. That on the extreme left has been me for most of the past 40 years. I've been a physician. Okay? And even like that, early in the 90s, I came across the Atkins diet book. I read it, uh, implemented it personally, and lost 40 pounds multiple times. Lost 40 pounds, gained 40 pounds, lost 40 pounds, every time I wanted to. But then I went back to eating what I was eating. Okay? I was giving advice to my patients. I'm essentially managing diabetes. I was an expert. I know all the drug groups and how to keep your hemoglobin A1C. And part of my advice was always low carb. Cut the bread, cut the flour, cut all the sugar. But maybe I wasn't following it too well. At the end of 2022, by the way, in 2022, I was, I cannot even see the number from here. In 2022, I was almost in a wheelchair. I was falling. I had a problem with my lumbar spine. I had had surgery several years before. And so I have lumbar spinal canal stenosis with neurogenic claudication. I wasn't able to walk more than 50 to 100 feet without my legs becoming numb and weak and having to stop using a cane. I live very close to the parks in Florida, about an hour from them. So whenever I went to a park, I had to get on one of those carts. By the way, last year, now twice, I have walked all day, 12 hours. Sat for shows and things like that, but was able to do it without a cane, without an electric cart and all that. I've lost about 115 to 120 pounds from my heaviest, but there's a long list, and I have some of them here. So I have, by the way, this week I went to the doctor. I needed some prescriptions, is the real thing. So two things happened. My A1C was 5.4, and it has been 5.4 6 times over the past year and a half. Okay. So I think I can say I have reversed my diabetes. Diabetes, hypertension, chronic reflux. If you think you took your patient samples, my patients never had any of the omeprazole, the Santax, and all that. Plantar fasciitis for more than 35 years, no pain now. And that's a painful thing. It's not going to kill you, but it's painful. Gastroparesis, chronic pain, toenail fungus, arthritis pain, the lumbar stuff that I told you about, eczema, seborrheic dermatitis, mild but bothersome. Acanthosis nigricans had several spots. They have gone away, disappeared. B12 deficiency, 4 different reasons for neuropathy, improved. Do I still have it? And a few years ago, I had a stroke because I'm hard-headed, but like someone around here says, we're guys and gals, right? We also do things that we shouldn't do. So I had a stroke. One of the things that I had from the stroke, by the way, that carnivore hasn't gotten rid of, is I developed a Spanish accent. And still there. So there is someone here with a very small YouTube channel that talks about his accent sometimes. I cannot make too much fun of him because he's very close to here. He can rush me. He's like a foot taller than me, and he lifts heavy things. in his farm, right? So I had to go and ask permission before I told him that I talked about it. Uh, Dr. Kiltz was asking, do you have a YouTube channel? I'm sure everybody here does. Spread the stories. How did I learn about this? It wasn't watching Dr. Kiltz or Dr. Baker, Dr. Perry, or Dr. Chafee. Yes, I have watched them as well, but the first contact I had, excuse me, my hands, was with this overweight, chronically sick homesteader who had improved a bunch of stuff and decided to make a documentary. And it was one of his videos, the first one I saw with Sean White about depression, anxiety, and how eating this way had made him better. So this is how I stepped into this. Since then, 2 years ago, I have put literally thousands of hours studying this stuff because I would like to help other people. So, by the way, I'm at your service for the American Diabetes Society. I gotta say one more thing. I gotta be careful because he signs the checks, but Dr. Kiltz likes to say that he's 70 years old. Well, he's in his 70th year. He's 69, so he's definitely older than me. Dr. Kiltz is so old that when he went to school, there was no history class. It was called current events. All right. I didn't know my team was gonna do this, but you all have my face on your tables. Take the card. We can talk later. Okay. This is the reason I'm doing this.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson. All right, I'm going to share my story quick. That was me, 100 pounds heavier than I am.
Hey guys, so before carnivore, I was vegan. I became vegan because I watched a movie about animal cruelty in the meat industry, and it was the saddest movie ever. I remember I was crying, and I said, I'm never ever going to eat meat again. And so I became vegetarian for a few months, and then I went full vegan, no dairy, no eggs, no meat. And I remember my family thought, that's not gonna last long, that's just a phase. It lasted almost 5 miserable years. Being vegan, I lost a lot of unhealthy weight. My skin started to break out. It got worse and worse. Red dots covered my whole entire face and back. I felt so ugly. I hated looking in the mirror. I would wake up hours before school to layer on makeup to make myself feel prettier, but nothing worked. I was so physically exhausted. I was like a zombie. I would go to bed around 5 or 6 p.m. every single day. My social skills completely disappeared. I wasn't able to hold eye contact with anyone. My heart would pound on my chest for the smallest things. Even going to school, which I've been going there my whole entire life, it would pound on my chest. I didn't do anything. I barely left the house. I only basically went to school, and even then I'd sleep through most of my classes because I was so physically exhausted, and also I didn't want to be present. And I was just so miserable. I did nothing. I was so self-conscious. I hated how I looked. And then I would start to hurt myself because it would make me think about just the pain and the blood and not how miserable I was. So I didn't want to be alive anymore. And you guys already heard my dad's story, but so yeah, he was really bipolar. Some days he would be happy, smiling, and the next second he'd be sad, mad. And he would yell a lot. He would yell at my mom. There was times where he would just storm out and leave the house, and we weren't sure if he's going to come back or not. So he was very unhappy. And then one day he was watching this crazy guy Dante on YouTube who just ate meat. And of course, at first, when my dad started, I was like, okay, more animals that are going to die. But a huge part of me was like, okay, he's going to be happy. It's going to work. He's going to be happy. And anyway, he started carnivore and he became a whole new person. He was truly happy, always smiling, never had any mood swings, wanted to be with us, no eye bags under his eyes. But most importantly, he became happy. He even stopped snoring. Oh my gosh, he would snore all the time. Like I could hear it through the room. He'd like fall asleep on the couch everywhere, and he had a CPAP machine. He'd wake up and he'd have red all over his face. So that was a great plus too. Maybe that's why I was so exhausted because I couldn't sleep. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, then I learned the truth that millions of animals die and suffer awful, horrible deaths from pesticide poisoning and farming equipment. This just absolutely broke my heart. It made me sick. I wanted to rip out my hair. All those years I thought I was being compassionate for the animals, but it turns out I was harming more. So then I started to make a plan. That day I didn't eat, and the next day I didn't eat. Um, I said, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy like my dad. I'm going to do carnivore, but I would try to only eat animal products where I know came from a good, loving, humane life. But I knew I wouldn't always be able to do that. So whatever I would eat, I wouldn't waste any of it, and I'd be grateful for all of it. And so here's a quick video of me eating first real food in almost 5 years. I can't!
You have it, you're overthinking it. Come on, you got it.
We got these eggs from Aaron and Vicky, who raise their chickens good, so I believe that I should eat them. I think it's so good because I'm starving.
You want to add some salt?
Oh,
Do you like it?
so good.
Actually, no, she's joking.
It's so good.
Really? I feel like you're joking.
Really? It's so good. Can you turn it off?
Oh, off? Are you okay?
Oh my god, she doesn't know how to cut a steak. She knows how to cut cauliflower. Really?
Cheers. Oh no.
Good.
Seriously, look at what she did. Where's your knife?
Very good point.
She's not big knife.
And so instantly when I ate that steak, I knew I could do it. I knew I could be carnivore. And starting off carnivore, in just a few weeks, I had so much energy, and my skin started to clear up in just a few weeks. And I tried everything, skincare products, went to the dermatologist, spent so much money, and it instantly started to clear up. So that was one of the biggest things. I found myself being able to talk to people, wanting to do things. I was able to hold eye contact. My heart didn't pound out of my chest by just going to school or going to the grocery store. I just became more confident and social, but most importantly, I became happy. And so now I want to share my story to help inspire others. But oh yeah, I've learned so much. I wanted to say one more thing. My sister Katie and I worked really hard. We made our own business and our website. I've learned so much things, but your skin also absorbs 60 to 70% of what you put on it. That's crazy insane. So we sell 100% natural, pure products. If you guys would like to support us, you could go and check it out, compassionatecarnivore.store. But thank you so much.
Next up, we got the carnivore brother, Ashley.
All right. Hey, has this been awesome or what? Seriously, right? All right. For those of you guys who are wondering, I am the last presenter tonight, so I get to close things out, and I want to give a little bit of instructions at the end of this, so I will hear it just a minute. Oh, there's one more after me? Oh, we got a new addition. Okay. Last minute addition. There's one more after me, but I'll still give you some closing announcements. Honestly, guys, I would not be here today, and I've got to start out saying this right. I would not be here today in this building at this event if it wasn't for the inspiration of Mr. Kerry Mann. I think we need to give Kerry Mann a huge hand. I still remember watching the video when him and Emma when Emma says, hey, why don't we do a documentary? And this guy had no idea what he was getting into. And it's still don't. We're still learning as we go, right? And what's been so awesome about it is just this community and this group of people who have come alongside, support every one of you here today who bought a ticket, who bought merchandise, who just came and met somebody else in the community and shared their information, introduced themselves as, hey, I'm a carnivore too, is spreading this message. And that's what's so key about what we're doing. And that's what I'm so fired up about. So before I close things out, I want to just tell you that I started the carnivore diet because a buddy of mine, he learned of my type 2 diabetes, and he just asked me the question, have you heard of the carnivore diet? It's a simple question, right? But he knew the impact it would have on me, and it made a profound impact. And it was fantastic. And now 2 years later, I'm trying to do what I can to help because I believe in this message. I believe the healing that's going on in this room and outside of this room through this way of eating. I've reversed my type 2 diabetes. I lost over 60 pounds from when I was at my heaviest, but it's the energy, it's the clarity. I didn't have a lot of other symptoms. My parents, mom, dad, love you guys. You're here in the room today. And I wouldn't be here, of course, without them, you know that. But, but they started best they knew when we were at an early age to make sure that we were eating healthy. We were the kids that didn't have the sugar cereals. We ate Grape Nuts because that was the healthy cereal. And they did the best they could. We didn't have sodas in the house for probably till we were teenagers because my mom really, really wanted to do the right thing for what she was taught was the food pyramid. Learned later that that wasn't maybe as accurate, but you didn't know that at the time. You did your best. And that instilled a mental thought process in me to always try and do what's right for my body. My body's a temple. And so, as Dr. Berry said in the clip, if you heard it, by 50, you should be dangerous. And this is, I love the way he put that, and it hit on me really big time because as I'm getting older, and I've got 1 year left before I'm 50, I've got 1 year left to be dangerous, and that's my motto this year. And Rhett has come alongside me. We're the Carnivore Brothers. And we started a YouTube channel only because of this man right here, because we just wanted to get on. He said he'd shout out our YouTube channel if we sent in a video, so we did. And whatever we could do to support, that was what I said. I want to do what I can to help support this movement, support this spreading of this, because I saw immediate healing. My brother lost over 100 pounds. Reverse, yes. His depression, anxiety, he's actually a different person. And what's amazing about Rhett's story is he fell off a little bit after the first year, and all that depression, anxiety, it came back. And that's when it clicked with him. He said, absolutely not. He goes, I know this is impacting me this way, and I don't want to be like this anymore. And he's made a turn completely. There's no going back at this point. So absolutely love it. He's impacting his family. My parents are both carnivore. We've got another twin brother who's carnivore. My sister did carnivore. And we're trying to have that ripple effect be spread. So I want to leave an impression on you guys because I believe community is super, super important. And this is how it starts. Hopefully you've met some others that you'll keep up with after this. You'll attend other events. You'll encourage others to do the same. Everybody here received one of these cards when we came in. And if you didn't look at it, grab it. On one side is a QR code to the GoFundMe. This is a completely crowdfunded documentary. And again, y'all have all contributed, but if you know others who can help, if you feel like you can help a little bit more, please help contribute. And then just like Lydia in her wonderful, powerful message, we need a community to support one another. We were raised in the church, and I believe very strongly, you can't do church by yourself, can you? You cannot. You can have a relationship with Jesus, but you can't do church the way it was intended without a community. Same thing here. There are people, everybody here needs support. And isn't this encouraging? You guys felt it today. I know you did. I did. I do every time I come to one of these meetups. So I encourage you all, make sure that you get involved with the community in somehow. The comments on YouTube raise our spirits every time we see one of those. The positive ones. Don't put the negative ones. No, just kidding. That's not this group. But no, the comments are good. Get in the communities. Do what you can to help support and spread this message. And we'll just continue to see it grow. So thank you all again for being here. I'm going to do a closing announcement. Thank you.